This year has a lot of great, unique, and groundbreaking games like Battlefield 1, Watch Dogs 2, Gears of War 4, Infinite Warfare, Modern Warfare Remastered. Mmm. I love a good first-person shooter. I love a good third-person shooter. I love a good platformer. But lately, I feel like I've been playing the same ones over and over and over again. We here at the Wulff Den already know that certain game mechanics, and especially control schemes, have already been standardized throughout the medium. This is great because it makes games feel familiar. You know exactly what to do when you pick up the controller. It's not like games take that long to get used to anymore, but there is a fine line. There needs to be some curveball thrown in there so it's not just the same game copy and pasted over and over again. And I am most certainly not talking about aesthetics. I don't give a that this game has a World War I skin over it. It looks like the same goddamn Battlefield to me. In fact, Vicky saw Battlefield 1 gameplay and was like, is it just me or does this look like Star Wars Battlefront? And I was like, oh sweet dear little innocent angel. Welcome to the Battlefield franchise. BioShock is a perfect example of taking a familiar formula and making it unique. I just wish that they forced you to use plasmids a little more. That's what makes it truly unique. Otherwise, it's just a bland shooter. Last weekend, I got to play a little bit of Dishonored 2, and it reminded me a lot of BioShock in that you have special abilities that you can cycle through. However, I've already played BioShock. My brief stint with Dishonored 2 felt familiar, but not unique. Granted, that's not entirely the game's fault. I'm sure the game's just fine. I'm jaded. I just need something more now. I was very excited for Watch Dogs when that was coming out because it looked like Assassin's Creed, but in the modern world, and I had been craving that ever since Assassin's Creed got stale. I liked Watch Dogs, but my feelings pretty much mirrored everybody else's. It's not fantastic, and Watch Dogs 2 will certainly be a lot better. Fast forward to now, Watch Dogs 2 is imminent, and every game that Ubisoft releases looks and feels exactly like Watch Dogs 1. The launch trailer looked promising, but these gameplay clips look like what you'd expect. We get new abilities, new things to hack, but like, how long will that fun last? Is this gonna be game-changing? Or is this going to be the same old familiar Ubisoft game? And don't get me started on Ghost Recon Wildlands, I've already talked about that. I understand that publishers pretty much need to make sequels to grab people's attention. New IPs are difficult to foster. But don't just copy and paste the previous game. Add some that makes it unique. Look at Mirror's Edge, one of my favorite games with some really unique ideas. It's not like any other game. Then look at Mirror's Edge Catalyst, one of the most disappointing games of the year. They didn't just copy and paste the original Mirror's Edge, they did worse. They copied and pasted every other modern open world first-person game. Why do they even need to make it open world? They didn't need to do that. Look at Resident Evil 4. It's part of a franchise, it's even sequential, but they completely reinvented the Resident Evil formula. The previous Resident Evil games were good. They didn't have to do that, but they did, and it worked out fantastic. Just ignore every other game that came out after that. Capcom did this to get Resident Evil up to speed with the rest of the gaming world. The tank controls just weren't working anymore. They needed to conform, but they didn't conform too much. It was still unique in its control scheme and game mechanics. These days, I'm really jaded by the constant stream of the same games over and over again. Nothing is breaking new ground anymore. Indie games are the only ones taking risks and coming up with new ideas. Hell, if it wasn't for Slender, we wouldn't have Alien Isolation, and I bet PT was gonna take a little bit from that too. This is why I'm excited for VR. It's a whole new medium. We need to relearn general game mechanics. How do you move? How do you interact with things? How do menus work? These are things we take for granted, but somewhere along the line we figured them out for 2D and then again for 3D games. And don't you ever forget about my video series on the history of modern video game control schemes. VR is promising, but it's nowhere near where it needs to be. While it excites me, it's just not in a viable state yet. Lots of games are puzzle games, and while there's nothing wrong with that, I would love some action. Give me Riggs, give me Onward, give me Rez. But even then, I'd like to not get sick, please. This isn't to say that all modern AAA games are bad. I loved Metal Gear Solid 5. The gameplay loop was just different enough to keep me wanting to jump back in. Destiny is a great example of changing the first-person shooter formula. Hell, I even enjoyed my brief stint with No Man's Sky solely because it was just different. But then again, that's not really a AAA game. You know what I've been playing recently? PewDiePie's ad-watching simulator. It's not a good game by any stretch of the imagination, but it's addicting as f***. Add me on there, Wulff Den, so I can get more useless money to beat Vicky, because I just want to get more subscribers than her in the game. What do you guys think about modern games? Are you stale on them, like I am? Has anything AAA this year, like, really excited you? Anything coming out or anything that has come out? Leave it in the comments below. Add me on Twitter, all of this other social media garbage. I will say I'm not worried. I'm just, you know, it's just an observation. We'll figure it out. Games will be exciting again. To me, at least. In the meantime, I'm having a good time with some indie games. Hyper Light Drifter, Cluster Truck. There are new videos every single Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Wednesday nights is Wulff Den Live. Join us for the live podcast every single Wednesday at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. I'm a little sick. Last week we were at TwitchCon. I was fine. And then we went to Comic-Con this week. There will be a video up on that tomorrow or Wednesday if you're seeing this. It's probably up if you're seeing this. And Comic-Con is what killed me. I'm dead now. That's it. So look out for our vlogs. And if you haven't seen them, go watch them. Thank you guys very much. Have a good week. First off, the games have a very similar style, especially with the character models. Take away the color scheme and the winter clothes, and the characters are basically interchangeable. Did you even notice that this guy's not even from The Division? He's from Ghost Recon. Get out of here.
Is it my turn? Yeah. Oh my god, the geek chair. Oh my god, big fan.
What is it?
You have silver?
No.
You don't have silver?
I have to use that.
Nobody has silver? Sign my badge. Yes. Thank you so much.
I just wish that they forced you to use plasmids a little more.